It's intercepted. Shaquille Griffin makes an incredible play. Coleman looks out of the gun, runs the option, keeps it. He is into the end zone for the Knights touchdown.
Welcome to Nightline Postgame Live. When the clock expires, we go live. Night Nation's only postgame call-in show goes live now.
All right, hello Night Nation. I think that we're live now. We had a little bit of an issue there. Somebody tell me if they can see us live on YouTube. I am not sure at all. That was really weird. Never had that one happen before. I've never had a problem here at the 1148 studios trying to go live. So very, very strange. I think that we're on there now, though. It says that we are. So I'm going to take this call. All right, I think we got our problems fixed and we're live now. And the person hung up. All right. Well, anyway, I guess I'll start over because I was talking there for quite a while and nobody was listening, I guess. I took a phone call and all that. So that was very strange. All right, 37-10 win over ECU. Here's the phone call again. All right, are we live now?
You are. You're live now.
Wow.
You're up and running.
Unbelievable. That was really weird. Thank you very much for calling back after I took your call and telling me that we weren't live. I apologize. I was just getting into the whole gist of things. 37-10 win over ECU in a very strange way. Do you want to go over what we said the last time when you called and we weren't on the air? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was trying to recap, but basically just saying that my overall happy. Defense did well to get a couple stops. Somebody mentioned on the board, bend, don't break. That is the definition of bend, don't break. What is it, 98 yards? They went and took the ball back. I prefer to not see that type of Randy Shannon defense, but I'm glad that they did it. Biggest thing is for me, I'd say that I'd take away from this is it's great that Matt got out there, but you know, if he was to start against any of the other teams, I don't feel confident that we would win. I watched right after I got off the phone with you. I was watching the press, asking some questions to Coach Hype about Mac and KZ, and it seemed like he was, you know, he said game time decision. Mac knew before the game started that he was going to play, but the press kept pressing him about his health, and he was just basically, yeah, I'm not talking about it. You know, he's like, I'm not going over it again. I'm not talking about it. So he said that it was, you know, getting him some rest and all that, and a couple of days off. So, I mean, it was a good game. It was ugly. The secondary needs to clean up whatever their problem is, and then those third and longs and damn pass interference calls are just. We've got to get that cleaned up. It's just out of control that we're letting drives continue on when, you know, when we got them, you know, 15, 18 yards on third down. And next thing you know, we do some stupid pass interference calls. So defense needs to clean that stuff up, and they need to, I don't know why they're giving these guys so much cushion. I mean, it's ridiculous. Guys were wide open all day. That freshman quarterback was gashing us, and we knew the guy was going to run. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be cleaned up on defense, but overall, we came out with a win. It was ugly, but we won. KZ got some rest, so I guess that's the best thing. Yeah,
well, when I talked to you the last time, I was saying that a lot of us knew ahead of time that was going to happen. Doesn't make it any easier, and not sure really if I mean, I guess that it's good that we got it out of the way now. If we need to get this out of the way, if he needed to rest and needed to do, you know, what he needed to do, let's get it out of the way now against a team like ECU.
Yeah.
You know, we need him for the rest of the season, and, you know, we knew that he was torn up. We knew that he's taken lots of hits. But it's obvious that he is a lot of what is going on in our, you know, the whole grand scheme of things. I mean, yes, we got it done. Yes, there are a lot of playmakers out there, but without him out there, this team is not the same at all.
No, completely different team. We are not the way we played tonight, we are not even a top 25 team. We played like, the defense had some great takeaways, but we played against a terrible team, and we looked like a dumpster fire. So we definitely, this Quandary Jones kid, ball was a little short, but it was a nice little touch pass. Max seemed like he was getting into it as the game went along as far as his passing goes. Lord knows the receivers certainly didn't help him out by not catching balls, like they do with KZ, but I don't know if that's just because of the speed of the balls coming in or whatnot. But, it just all around, it just wasn't pretty. And you can clearly see that the team is completely different with somebody else under center. So, we definitely I'd like to see Quandary because I know he's got a couple games that he can play. If we get some of these big leads, getting some other guys in there as well. I don't know if Coach will or he won't because he seems pretty stubborn about putting KZ up the middle. The guy weighs 170 pounds and Killens up the middle. I don't know why they giant holes, for every other running back. But for McCray when he ran up the center, you could put a car through that damn hole. But whenever Killens gets in there, I don't know if it's because he's not allowing the blocks to happen, and the holes to open up, or if he's just pumping in there too quick. But, there's never anything open for him up the middle. And then McCray gets up there, and then you could literally drive, an F-250 through that damn hole. It was so large.
Yeah.
So.
No, I agree. I'm kind of tired of seeing them run Killens up the middle. I know that they're trying to set up the run, and then boom, a pass or whatever, but it's getting old. It definitely is.
Where's the jet sweeps? Him coming around the side and putting his speed. When he's out there full speed. I don't understand. There's a lot of the outside where that's what he was getting those huge yards last year, was running around outside and it's just, every now and then the only time you ever see him go run outside is because it wasn't a design play. It was because he had to bounce out to go outside. It wasn't actually a design run on the outside. It just, I don't know, the running plays and the personnel that he uses to run those plays are just kind of strange to me. But I don't know anything about coaching football, so I'm sure there's a method to his madness.
I assume there's a method to his madness. I would be shocked if there wasn't. So, I'm giving it to Heupel. Heupel so far has done a great job, obviously, where we're still winning and all this stuff, but it is a little confusing. And I was really on the bandwagon of this being okay for a while until I saw what happened tonight. I thought maybe there would be some stuff, some more runs, some different things running, outside and stuff come up, and there wasn't. So.
Yeah, everybody says he's hiding his playbook. He's not hiding his playbook. They just aren't in his playbook.
Well, I don't know about that. I still think that we haven't seen the whole playbook. I know of a Wildcat thing that we were going to do, and we haven't seen that yet. There's a bunch of other stuff. I know there is. Go back and look at Missouri.
The play with Quandary, they actually came up with that play in the middle of the week. He was telling the press.
Oh,
like, when did you design that play? He's like, we came up with that over the middle of the week.
Okay, yeah.
I'm guessing they're still developing plays, too.
I know that they ran a Wildcat during, practice before the season starts. I'm not going to tell you who was running it, but I can tell you that they were running one. We haven't seen that yet. I'm surprised. So.
Yeah, USF one side.
Well, yep. I don't know. Hopefully, this is KZ gets all the rest he needs, and we see the number 10 go under center for the rest of the year, and we smoke the rest of the opponents. So we're down to 3 undefeateds losing this year, looks like if Ohio State continues to stay down, and there'll only be 5 left.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll we got to keep this truck rolling.
All right, man. Hey, thank you for calling back. Thank you for telling me that I wasn't on the air. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
I would have had no idea. I would have been talking for an hour and wondering why nobody was calling. I know I got other calls on the line, so I'm going to let you go. Thank you, man. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Go Knights.
Charge on. All right. Wow. That was very strange how we weren't on there. But anyway, 37-10 win over ECU. Earlier, I had talked about all these things, and I kind of was wondering why nobody was calling. I was talking about Daryl Mack. Passing-wise, Daryl Mack, 12 of 20 for 69 yards, 3.5 average. All right, I'm going to take this one here real quick. Hey, you're on Nightline Postgame Live.
Hey, it's Andrew from Oviedo.
Hey, man, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm good now that we're actually on here. What was your take of the game tonight?
I have to imagine I was confused for the first 10 minutes because I was thinking, like, Milton looks a little taller than normal, and his number's different. Then it hit me that I'm like, he's not out there. So I was scratching my head for the first 5-10 minutes wondering where he is because I didn't even know he was not starting. So I was very worried for a whole quarter.
Yeah. It was, kind of a strange situation, but like I was talking to the last caller about, I think that he needed some rest. I haven't gotten to hear the post-game comments from Josh Heupel yet, but from what I understand, they wanted to rest him and get some of those nagging injuries a little bit more time to heal, and I guess ECU was the best time to do it.
Yeah, I guess so. Heupel's very cryptic on his injuries, just like when Pat went out, I didn't even know about that, the Memphis game, so he's very cryptic on when players start or not.
Well, that's good, though, because he had everybody fooled.
Yeah, I guess I'm not a fan as a fan being a fool, too.
Right, I understand that, but it's more important that the team that they're playing gets fooled and they don't have time to, they have to worry about Mackenzie Milton, and then all of a sudden he's not out there. So it makes sense in the coaching world, just not in real life.
True. You got to take what they give you, I suppose.
Yep. So what else? What else were your observations or concerns?
My concern was I don't know if Mac definitely seemed a lot out of his element. I felt he was depending a lot on the run. There was a lot of design or scrambles from him running. I know he's a dual-threat quarterback, but I wasn't sure if Heupel just didn't trust him to throw or he just felt that he just wanted to run up and down the field, because the offensive line was not helping Mac at all. I mean, they were blitzing a lot, but there was some 3-4-man rushes that, they were getting to Mac easy, tackling Killins in the backfield, not giving Otis room to run. Our offensive line definitely did not live up to their normal standard that they have this season.
And they haven't for a couple of weeks, actually. I think everybody's starting to get a little bit tired right now. It's not really the time to get tired. This is the time to get over that and keep going. But yeah, the offensive line has been not that great a couple weeks in a row, personally.
Yeah, and I don't want to completely blame the offensive line. As much as I like our tight ends, I hate to say it, they are terrible at blocking. I've not really made much of a fuss about it, but this game, it was glaringly obvious. Our tight ends can catch, they can run routes and get open, but they cannot block at all. All the runs that Killins had issues with on the side was because the tight end, or whoever it was, I get trouble figuring out who it was, but it was always the tight end that just did not give any room for Killins or Otis to get on the outside, especially with Mac when he tried to do his scrambles. So that was definitely frustrating to watch. Another thing I noticed is I don't know if Heupel really was trying to play vanilla, because running on 3 straight downs, I don't know if the ghost of O'Leary was haunting us, but it was very frustrating. It feels like Mac was just not allowed to throw the ball. He just wasn't. I don't know why.
Probably for good reason, with him not, being the greatest thrower. Because you saw when he did throw, he has the arm. He just hasn't had the time for timing with these guys, I don't think. I think that would be the biggest thing as far as I'm concerned that he would need would be timing with the players. Yes, he probably practiced. I've heard that he's practiced. I've actually heard that Mackenzie hasn't practiced for 2 weeks. So Daryl Mack had been getting those number one runs with the offense, but timing like that takes a long time to get going with your offense, with your receivers. So maybe that he would make bad decisions. Maybe they saw something in practice where they weren't comfortable with him throwing the ball. That's the only thing that I can think of.
Either way, I give Matt credit. No fumbles, no interceptions. You know, he did everything he was supposed to do, I think, given whatever playbook he had to work with. So
and Lord have mercy, he ran for 120 yards. I mean...
Yeah, he ran a lot of times.
And he would have had another 70 or 80-yard run if they wouldn't have... If 11 wouldn't have been holding on that one. So that would have been another touchdown. You know, so... I mean, the dude did a great job, personally. I'm happy with it. Obviously, you know, we need somebody that can throw the ball. I would like to see Quadri Jones get some time. He's got 4 games that he can play in. This was one of them for one pass that he got in. So I'd like to see him with some
Yeah, he
reps.
definitely had I didn't realize who was number 12 originally because I knew he was on the team, but I never knew what number he was. It took me a while to figure out that, that's the other quarterback.
Yep.
But he had a pretty solid throw to Killins.
Absolutely. All right, man. Thank you very much for calling. I really appreciate it.
All right, take care. Have a good night.
Take it easy. All righty. So, yeah, very strange, different kind of a game. Not at all what we were used to. I'll go through the stats here a little bit while we're waiting for another call. Darrell Mack Jr., 22 carries for 120 yards. Greg McCrae, 5 carries for 99 yards. That 74-yard run that he had really made a big difference. Adrian Killins, 15 carries for 44 yards, only averaging 2.9, by the way. Taj McGowan, 5 runs for 29 yards, averaging 5.8. Otis Anderson, 7 carries for 27 yards, 3.9 a carry. So 55 carries for 316 yards, average of 5.7. So one of the things, I mean, obviously we came out of here with a win, 37-10, but if you look at, you know, the whole thing, we got basically outscored, or not outscored, but out yardage wise scored. Total yards for the very first time, as far as I know, in quite a while. ECU had 496 yards. We had 427. We also obviously won the turnover battle. 5 turnovers for ECU that we took advantage of. Time of possession is also another thing that was very strange. We actually won the time of possession. We don't normally do that. 31-28 versus 28-32 as far as that goes. So, interesting, very interesting as far as that goes. So, phones are open, 407-401-9184, 407-401-9184. I see a bunch of you chatting on YouTube. You can call those guys that are chatting there. So, that would help tremendously. What else can we talk about here? How about the performance by Matty Wright? Very, very good as far as that goes. Field goals. He has been somebody that you could rely on for a long, long time. Really some great defensive plays as well as far as the turnovers go. That was a really big deal. I haven't seen any defensive stats yet. Excuse me. I was yelling at the TV quite a bit, so my throat is is quite dry. So, you know what I'm going to do here? Let me see. Do I have my... I'm kind of discombobulated because things didn't start the way they should have. I'm going to play a commercial real quick and get a drink, and then I'll be back. You know, ever since I started Nightline, people have been asking me for advice. Usually, it's what team to bet on this week. The truth is, I don't know who's going to win, but if you think that you know, you gotta check out MyBookie. Remember, who you're betting on is just as important as who you're betting with. That's why I always tell people to bet with MyBookie. Trust me, guys, they're the best bet this season. They've been in business for years, they have great reviews online, and their mobile site is easy to use. Lay down some cash and win big today. They have in-game live betting, the most rewarding player perks in the business, and for you fantasy guys out there, you can even bet over-under on how many fantasy points a player is going to score each game. Join now and MyBookie will match your deposit dollar for dollar. Use promo code NIGHT to activate the offer. You play, you win, you get paid. Visit MyBookie online today. All right, better and back. For sure. All right, I thought I had a call there, and they hung up, so that's not good. Where are all my callers tonight? It helps when you guys call. Otherwise, I just sit here and talk, and you can listen to that anytime by listening to Nightline. Here's one. Thank you very much. Hello, how you doing? Welcome to Nightline.
Hello, this is Jessica from Maryland.
All right, Jessica from Maryland, how are you?
Good. I have to say, I was very happy with Matt tonight. I was kind of worried at the start, but I felt like he got rhythm moving.
Absolutely.
And I felt like we did pretty well tonight, beating ECU 37-10. And I felt like Mackenzie Milton needed the rest, and I feel like he'll be back against Temple and will do just fine at Temple.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I think that it was definitely a good thing for him to get rest. I'm not upset about that at all. If we would have lost this game, it would have been a completely different thing.
Yeah, but you know what? Matt did a great job tonight. I know everybody answered tonight, defense and offense. I know it was on and off again. But you have to agree at the end of the day for a starting quarterback, for any team to win 37-10 on their first starting night, no matter how it was won, you have to admit it was a good day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would have liked to see him throw the ball a little bit more.
Yeah, and I would have liked to see Killens run more in, but you know what? At the end of the day, a win is a win.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, that's all I got to say. Have a great evening.
All right, Jessica, thank you for calling. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime. Thanks. Bye.
All right, that's Jessica. She always calls. I can always count on Jessica. I can always count on Andrew, and I can always count on Stefan for sure. Those guys to call. What about the rest of you, though? If you've never called me before and talked to me, call. Come on. 407-401-9184. Need some new people here. Here's one. Hey, you're on Nightline Postgame Live. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Pierce from South Florida.
All right, Pierce from South Florida. What's your take on the game tonight?
Take on the game is not the best. However, I just want to comment on how happy I am to see Ohio State get waxed after Kirk Herbstreit and the rest of the game day crew wanted to clown UCF all morning long. And it's just good to see one of the big boys take it.
Did they get beat? I haven't been looking, so.
It is 49-20. Purdue is putting them away with 2 minutes to go.
Purdue. Wow.
Purdue. 3-3 Purdue.
Well, I'm happy for Purdue. That's awesome. Thank you very much, Purdue, for taking care of that.
That's right. And I'm telling you, these big-name schools, they don't know. I don't know. Can you cuss on your show?
Well, I mean, I try not, I try to keep it kind of like the radio, So choose a good word that's not a cuss word.
They don't know poop, man.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, I woke up and the first thing I saw was Kirk Herbstreit running his mouth. I think that's crazy. You talk about bias. These guys are biased like nobody has ever been biased. I mean, if you can't get those people, behind you, who can you get behind you except your fans, I guess, and the rest of the. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're talking about like we're Rudy, man, and you're rooting against Rudy game day.
Yeah.
Like we're the underdog. Come on.
Who roots against the underdog?
These morons.
Well, I would like to see them bring their show to UCF campus because, I think that would be super cool. I don't think it's going to happen now, though, because I thought Cincinnati probably would have been the best option for that if Cincinnati wouldn't have blown it today. So Cincinnati's not undefeated anymore, which is kind of a bummer.
Right, but you still have the idiots across I-4 that are still undefeated.
We'll take care of them. Yeah, they can stay undefeated, and we'll take care of them at our home game over there.
There you go. And how about we see UF in the New Year's Day Bowl game? Take care of them as well.
That'd be great. I'd love it.
All right, brother. I'm out.
Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it. All right, I think that was a new caller. That's good. That was good. That was good right there. New callers are good. Still missing some of our old callers, though. We may have another one coming up here in just a second. I forget where I was because I took a couple calls there, and yeah, but Kirk Herbstreit, man, like all those guys on game day. Here we go. Hey, you're on Nightline. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Richard from Arizona.
Hey, Richard. How's it going? What do you think of the game tonight?
Well, actually, I thought it was, I mean, there were a lot of penalties and some sloppy play, but I thought it was great that we could get a backup quarterback in there to get some real experience and show that, we've got depth on this team.
Absolutely. I mean, it is good to get him reps. He actually played an entire game. You don't get to do that a lot of times as a backup quarterback. So, I wish they would have opened it up a little bit for him tonight, let him throw a little bit more and just, I mean, obviously you don't want to throw interceptions, but you want to try to get some timing down with your wide receivers.
Yeah, but, he did have some really good throws that the receivers kind of let him down on, too.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. Well, timing is a big issue. So what about his 120 yards rushing? I mean, that's impressive. He's a big dude.
Oh, he is. I mean, that's got to be intimidating for the other team.
Yeah. Well, that ECU quarterback did pretty good tonight as well for his first start.
Actually, actually he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to complain a little bit about the polls. This guy Don Williams, he's someplace in the Midwest, I can't remember. Last week he had us at 18 when the rest of the polls put us at 10, and then after a win against Memphis, he moves us down from 18 to 24. Did you notice that?
Well, I'm actually surprised we didn't drop after that win because it wasn't an impressive win. They keep talking about how they want us to have impressive wins, and we shouldn't have struggled the way that we did against Memphis. So I'm really I'm surprised. I really am.
Except it was in a driving rain, and that tends to really throw a monkey wrench into how the outcome is going to come out,
Right. The first half was not, though. The second half was. So we played two different halves there. I mean, it was literally a game of two halves because we got, our butts handed to us there in the first half. That guy running just ran all over us, and we couldn't stop him. So luckily for the rain, it stopped him from being able to run, I guess. I don't know. I mean, obviously we made some changes on the defense, on the defensive scheme, but, I guess the rain helped us. So that, but the rain shouldn't have to help us, though. You know what I'm saying?
Well, no, I know. But, that running back, that's another thing. I don't know if you noticed the ESPN All-American poll came out, and he was rated the #1 running back in the whole nation, Power 5 all the way.
Yeah, they've been talking about him a lot. So that's good, I guess. If I just don't ever want to see another team run on us like that. I mean, the ECU did a little bit tonight as well. I mean, a lot of it was the quarterback, I think. But, well, he had 69 yards. So we actually held them pretty good running-wise. It was the passing that we couldn't contain. They only had 90 yards rushing, but they had 406 yards passing. That's a lot.
Right. Well, and another qualifier, Jasinski he's the captain on the defense for us, right?
Yeah.
And he wasn't in there. I mean, that's more than pulling out a good defensive player. That's pulling out the captain of the guy that's calling the defenses for you.
Yeah, I know that he's been banged up the last couple games. He was in and out tonight. He was definitely in there for some plays, but he was definitely out as well at other times.
Yeah, I noticed. Yeah, I noticed that, and that's the thing is I think this, Heupel, it was a big risk, but I think he pulled it off, and I think it's going to pay off for us in this final stretch.
Yeah. So Jasinski had 4 total tackles, 3 solo tackles, and 1 quarterback hurry. Kyle Gibson actually led the defense tonight with 12 tackles. Nate Evans was second with 10. Titus Davis, Eric Mitchell, Rashard Kazi, so Nate Evans did a great job picking up that ball and running it all the way back for a touchdown. I didn't know if he was going to have enough gas.
Yeah, and then who was it? The freshman that knocked the ball out? That was a heads-up play.
I believe that was yeah, you had to ask that, didn't you?
Well, he was a freshman, but to see our freshmen make plays like that is really good.
Yeah, we've got some guys. That was Richie Grant actually that caused that fumble. So, yeah, Richie Grant's a hell of a player, personally. Yeah. I like that guy a lot. So, all right, man. Thank you very much for your call. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I hope you get some more callers. I only called because you had a dead spot there.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, bye-bye.
Have a good one. All right. My people are fixing stuff for me tonight. They're calling when I'm asking. So I think we got another one waiting on the line here. So, yeah, so I finally found some defensive stats there. And right about when I start talking about it is when this next call is going to come through, I'm sure. So, yep, there it is. All right, this will be a good long call. Roger, how you doing? Night Bingle.
How you doing? I enjoyed watching the Mac attack this evening.
Well, I mean, what do you think about the Mac attack? Was it, we won. That's all that matters, right?
Yeah. No, I look. Couple of things. One is I'm glad Casey didn't have to go in. He clearly needed some rest. I'm also very happy that we were able to win convincingly in the way we did. In large part, the defense had a lot to do with that, with the turnovers that we had. However, as far as Mac was concerned, I thought he didn't do too bad. I mean, I know he's been in the system for a year. But this was his first full game to play, and at times he was in rhythm and could play. Sometimes he was showing shades of Mr. Holman and throwing 300-mile-an-hour fastballs on slant routes. But by and large, I thought he did fairly well for his first game in Division I football. And he did have some touch on that one pass to Smelly, and unfortunately Smelly dropped it. On Heupel's post-game, he talked a little bit about how a lot of the miscommunications were actually not Mac's doing, but it was the receivers not getting the spacing right or understanding what they were supposed to do on a play. So I thought that was pretty interesting commentary, as he was questioned about it right away, and he came back and he fired right back and said, actually, Mac knew what he was doing from the time he started to the end of the game. So I think there were times where he could have not pulled the ball and ran and allowed his backs to make it to the sidelines. And, I think they would have picked up some yardage doing that. But by and large, I mean, the guy's big. He's a bruiser. Just quite the opposite of what we're used to seeing with McKenzie and his running style. McKenzie's trying to elude you, whereas Mac was running through tackles.
Absolutely.
I mean, literally 3 or 4 defenders at a time.
Well, he ran for 120 yards. This is the stat that I keep bringing up. It's 22 carries for 120 yards. He averaged 5.5. His longest was 27. I mean, that's really great for a big guy like that to be able to run like that. And he has an arm. He does. I just think that, I've kept saying that the timing is not quite there yet.
No, I mean, definitely with the receivers for sure. I mean, there was that one play where he actually hit, I think it was Snelson again. He actually hit him in the back with a pass. But again, I don't know how much of that is on Snelson not knowing or not getting the call or the checks, or whether that was, Mac pushing the ball there. And from what Heupel said, it looked more like it was Snelson's fault. He missed on a couple of slant routes, but by and large, the passing game was there. The guy, like I said, I mean, it wasn't that the ECU defenders weren't there. He was just literally running over them or through tackles. And when you're looking at it and what we were trying to do on the running game, what I thought was kind of interesting is we brought the two-back set back for a little while, which at that point you've really got to cover. You can't spy one back, which is what they started doing when we brought in our tight ends. So essentially you've got to worry about Otis, you've got to worry about Killens, and then you've also got to worry about Mac pulling it down and running, because all three of those guys can do that. Unfortunately, with the running game in the third quarter, I was a little surprised at Heupel's propensity, especially when we got that fumble recovery, of his propensity to call 3 straight run plays with Killens in a row. And quite frankly, I'm sure the rest of Night Nation, because I saw it on Twitter, was upset too, but that quite frankly pissed me off. At that stage of the game, you get a fumble, you get a turnover, you're getting momentum. We only had 20 points on the board. You go for the jugular, and you start passing the ball over the top. It felt really, really conservative.
Yeah, and I'm sure that a lot of that conservativeness had to do with Darryl Mack. I mean, obviously it wouldn't have been like that if McKenzie was in there. I am getting tired of Killens up the middle. I am. I've finally had enough. But it works with other guys, it seems like, a little bit more than it works with Killens. McCray doesn't have a problem with it. He sees the hole and he's gone. The 74-yard, touchdown run. That was exactly what that was. That was McCray up the middle.
Well, and McCray, what he does, he's a little more patient with his blocking, and he has the ability to find seams or wait for seams to develop, which is a little bit more of what you saw last year with I'm not going to say his name, but SF's offense. There was more patience. And with this one, it's more running straight through the tackles and trying to get ahead of steam and get through to the second level. Taj McGowan, Greg McCray, even Bentavious Thompson, all three of those guys do a really good job doing that. Otis does at times, but Killens is a speed back, and like the past few games, he's been ripping off 5 or 6 yards per carry, and that's great. But you can only do that so long with him, and you can't, if you're trying to be like an SEC team where you're just wearing the other team out when you got a 2-score lead, you can't do that with Killens because he goes down on the initial contact. And if they're waiting and everybody knows he's heading up the middle, 170 pounds is not going to push into the secondary, and it's certainly not going to earn you that first down. You get Taj in there, you see what he does. He's in there like a wrecking ball. He's more like a Latavius Murray type back. He can get through that initial line of defenders and their ankle tackles or whatever and get in the secondary. He's gone. So for me, if you're going to try to play big boy SEC-style football, which we could have that game, put that size back in there that can wear them down and can make it through that initial burst through the line. That's where I get frustrated with it, and especially when I think we were at the 35-yard line and then we got a 10-yard penalty. If you're starting on the other side of the field and you only have 20 points on the board, you go for that all out. And he was throwing the ball and he was getting some consistency. And if not, let him run the ball more so than Killens, because they were stacking the box the entire time. And AK is a great back, but he's a speed back, which means he has to have some space. He's not going to be able to push his way through the line when you're trying to go between the tackles. It's just not what he can do physically.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I keep going back as well to that these aren't Heupel's guys. I think in the next couple of years you're going to see him recruit a running back that's a little bit of a bigger guy, like you're talking about, like a Taj McGowan, or maybe even a little bit bigger of a guy than that. And I think that's what you'll see. I think we better get used to this kind of a running up the middle thing. I think that it's going to be a staple of his offense.
Oh, 100%. The other thing, defensively, kind of flipping the script a little bit, I thought that the defense, especially with the turnovers, a lot of heads-up play. They gave up some yards, but there was a lot of heads-up play where I started to see what we were doing last year, where we were trying to get the ball. Gilliard was in again for the second half. He started a little shaky in pass defense, but once he started locking that down, especially after that fumble in the red zone, he was really the reason that fumble happened, because the quarterback had to check the ball. He had really good coverage on his receiver that he was going to. He checked the ball, and then, of course, we all know what happened after that. But the defense, in total, they were getting pressure on first and second down. Third down, again, we were having problems, but third down, they're expecting us to rush. And we literally threw the house at them, and we didn't always, or a lot of the time, we didn't get to the quarterback to be able to alter the play. But by and large, we were in the back a lot. We got free a lot, and we put a lot of pressure on that offense. So I was very, very happy to see that take what I felt was the next step again, although the offensive line wasn't as good as what others were that we faced all year. But the defense I was pretty happy with. I really liked what they did, especially considering that they weren't playing the starters. Pat went out at the half. There were other people that were being rotated in there. Clark got burned on that one, but overall he played fairly well. Brown played fairly well. All those guys in there were pretty impressed. So I was pretty happy to see that the defense didn't have another letdown.
Yeah. Well, I feel let down by 406 yards through the air. Luckily, they only had one touchdown through the air. So,
well, I agree with that to some extent. Like I said, from a defensive standpoint and from a secondary standpoint, most of those yards were on third down. If we can get that pressure to get there on third down and finish them off, most of those yards disappear. They had long drives that started with terrible field position because of our kicking game. And when they did, they got those yards on third down. So they weren't running the balls down our throats. We were doing what Randy does, which is try to get pressure. Most of the time, our secondary was there to make plays. Unfortunately, we had a lot of PI plays, which, quite frankly, that was on the defensive back for not being heads up and making sure that they were playing. They had position on the ball most times. They were looking for the ball, which is what you want, but they were draped all over the receivers down the field. You're going to get called for that every time. So, outside of the PI calls, I thought they and the third downs has really been the bugaboo that we've had, and it's continuing to be a bugaboo. Other than that, we were getting the pressures we wanted. We got sacks, we got tackles for loss, we got turnovers. If we could just get those third downs locked down, I think we'll be okay.
I agree. Absolutely. Roger, man, thank you very much for calling. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure is all mine. Have a great night, and thanks for doing it again. Charge on.
All right, you too. Charge on. All right, well, yeah, now I have the official stats here, so finally. I wanted to see what we had for penalties. Let me see if I can find that real quick. While I'm looking, I'm going to play a couple of commercials here, and I'll be right back.
Hey, this is Travis Dever, Kai's Real Estate, the Dever team, New Smyrna Beach. Your source for real estate and everything else New Smyrna Beach. Proud sponsor of Nightline and Nightline Postgame Live. Call me anytime at 386-690-1636. That's 386-690-1636. Let me show you my hometown, New Smyrna Beach, UCF's favorite beach. Go Knights and charge on.
You've heard us talk about the great food at our good friend Kyle Israel's restaurant, The Little Greek Fresh Grill. The Little Greek now has franchises available. Please call 407-697-2272. That's 407-697-2272 to see what The Little Greek can do for you. Also check out The Little Greek's newest location at 3131 Daniels Road, Suite 104, Winter Garden, Florida. The Little Greek Fresh Grill. Fresh, flavorful, fabulous. All right, well, I found the penalties here. 14 penalties for 120 yards. So that's a lot of penalties. That is the length of the football field plus 20 yards. That's too many. We had 14 for 120. They had 8 for 60 yards. But, man, those turnovers, I'm saying that because they're right here in the right next to the penalties in the stats, and those those turnovers really made the difference tonight. I guess I'm just going to give my final synopsis here because I don't know if we're going to have any more calls or not. I think that Darryl Mack did a great job for his first start. These stats are I guess he still had the 22 carries for 120 yards, averaging 5.5. I think that's an incredible job for a big guy like that. I know that he has an arm. I've watched all kinds of this guy's high school tape. I watched him when he first got recruited. I wish that we would have got to see him throw the ball a little bit more. I also wish that we could have seen a little bit more of Quadri Jones. I think that this would have been a perfect time to see him. I guess, now the freshman, to keep your red shirt, you have 4 games that you can play in. So he could play a complete game and still keep his red shirt. I don't know if he's been in at all besides tonight, to be honest with you. I'll have to look into that, but I don't remember seeing him at all. In fact, one of the callers said that they're like, who's number 12? When he came in to throw that ball. I felt the same way because I didn't know who it was. We hadn't seen him before as far as I know. So it is good that we've gotten some of these young guys, time. I'm not sure of the other freshmen that we've seen. Well, I'm sure there has to be some kind of official stat or something, keeping time for those guys to see when they've been in there and when they haven't. I'm sure we've probably seen a couple of guys on defense. I don't know about offense as far as that goes, but we definitely saw a little bit of Quadri Jones. I'd like to see a lot more of him. He, kind of underthrew that pass that he threw, but it doesn't matter because we scored. Adrian Killens had to come back a little bit for it. I'm glad that we saw a little bit more of Otis Anderson. Everybody's been calling for that. I'm surprised, and I was talking about this on the boards today or last night, probably this morning more. I was talking on the dungeon about how I would be surprised if Adrian Killens got to start and all that stuff because of this talking or whatever that he was doing on the sideline during the Memphis game. I guess that has been taken care of internally. Maybe Heupel didn't think that it was that big of a deal, but I thought it was a big deal when ESPN picks up on it. So glad to see Adrian Killens out there. Would like to see Adrian Killens get around the end instead of going up the middle like they do all the time with him. So I'm just glad that we were able to get through this game, period. I'm glad that I thought that this wasn't going to turn out well when I heard that McKenzie was not going to be in there. I really didn't. So I'm glad that we we took care of it. We took care of business. 20 wins. 20, undefeated for 20 games. That's a big deal. That's the American record and UCF's record still. We need to keep going on that, obviously. Obviously, we need to keep going on that to please Kirk Herbstreit and all the ESPN folks on game day there. So we got to do what we got to do. We did it tonight. That's all that matters. We're 7-0 and 4-0 in the American, and we just got to keep rolling. And all right, so the next time you're going to hear Postgame Live, and I apologize about the difficulties tonight. I apologize about the difficulties last week. This has been quite difficult. But the next time you're going to hear us is on the Black Friday at the USF game. We're going to be over there and taking the gear with me, and I will do it one way or another. So you will hear me after that game. Thank you very much to the people that called. Thank you all for listening. I really appreciate it. I'm Andrew Fegley for Trace Trelko. Make sure you check us out tomorrow night or early Monday morning or whenever you listen to Nightline. Also, be sure to listen to the Sons of UCF. Everybody's done a really great job of doing that. They put out a great show. Thank you very much. I will see you next time.
UCF, charge on to the field. With our spirits, we'll never yield. Black and gold stars right through the line. Victory is our cry. B-S-E-T-O-R-Y.